Hey guys, it's Cinnilla and welcome back to my channel. So I'm here to record my religion video? Do I want to say religion? Okay, my American people of African descent and religion / spirituality video. There we go. That's what I'm going to call this. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one statement out of the way. If you agree with me, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. Comment whatever your opinions are down below. But I'm just going to say it. We as black people would not be Christians if it was not for slavery and white people. Okay, moving on from that, I'm going to explain how I got to where I am, and I just want like everybody else's opinions on it. And pretty much this is going to be kind of like my last video with the whole black women and the beauty world thing. Alright, so I know I've mentioned this in a couple previous videos, but I'll try to give it more in depth. So in high school, and at least throughout school, whenever you did social studies class, you always did, you always studied your ancient cultures, right? Ooh. And you always studied the religion of the ancient culture. So I was always really interested in different religions, period. I was raised Christian. I'm not going to lie. I was raised Christian. I think we were raised Baptist. But I was raised Christian. But I'd always had the interest in other religions thanks to social studies. So from there, here comes high school, and I was in this after-school group called Girl Talk. And it was pretty much where you go, and it was kind of like Bible study for after school, but it was just girls. And a lot of the things that the woman was saying to me, like, it kind of made me iffy about Christianity as a whole, and it dissatisfied me. And one of the things that she said was involved with the woman and her role in the church, where she wasn't allowed to speak, blah, 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 and the other. And that's another thing I'm going to say. Christianity is patriarchal. It's not matriarchal. It follows the entire line of men. But so that bothered me. For not even being like a girl power or feminist or all that. It was just like, I feel like I should be able to speak in church. So that bothered me. And so at the time, the person was my best friend. Ended up being the worst relationship I've ever been in. But that person was pagan. So I ended up learning and exploring about that. And after we broke up, I still kept up, learned on my own. And I became, quote unquote, a full-fledged Wiccan or whatever. I did my rites on my own. But my problem with Wicca was, and I'm not knocking the religion at all. It's a great, or spirituality, because it's less of a religion and more of a spirituality. It's great. My problem was, all of my resources I had to get on my own. So, most of my books, because I even still have some of them. They're in my parents' basement, and some of them are up here. But most of my books were by white people, and all the deities that were mentioned were white. They were Greek, and they were Celtic. Those were the two big groups. Everywhere else, like, kind of trickled down. There was Norse, and was it Roman, even though Roman is really just like knockoff Greek, but whatever. That was primarily what your deities were. They were white. And I could not wrap my head around worshiping somebody that did not look like me. I don't know why. It bothered me. And it still to this day bothers me. But it bugged me. And so at the time I was first starting to use Instagram. And so since my parents weren't really embracing my spirituality, which that's fine. I understand it was very weird and different to them. But so I was posting a lot on Instagram because nobody else in my family had Instagram at the time. And I was posting what I learned about this deity and that deity. And then I started connecting with other black people, Africans, African Americans, whatever you want to say, on people that, when I finally made my way to Egyptian deities. And we connected that way. And then one day somebody pointed out to me, do you know XYZ about this one deity that you're posting about? That you claim this is like your patron deity. And I'm like, no, I don't really know that. And excuse me if I have something in my teeth. I just realized I just ate. But so like, no, I didn't know that. So they gave me some resources, and so at this point I'm like, okay. So at this point I've left Wicca, and now I'm just studying Kemet and studying Kemetic deities that way. So the first book that my Nana bought it for me, that I really was like, ooh, until I actually started trying to read it, was Medu Neter Volume 1. And this is by Ra'un Neferemen. And this is what it looks like. Now, this book is God knows how many pages. It's 24 chapters. Yeah, about 400 and some odd pages. And I think I made it halfway through the book, because I've got my highlights and my notes in here. Like, this is what this book was looking like. And no matter what I did, like, I could not seem to grasp and hold everything that was in this book in my head. Like, as much as I'm like, oh yeah, I'm making it my way back to the motherland, like, it wasn't sticking. And also his wordiness, like, he's somebody who wants to have so many people follow and understand his works. He was writing on levels that I'm just like... So, I went to the next step, and I'm like, okay, maybe this person's writing looks a little bit simpler for me to understand. So then I went to Mawada Ashby, and the other book that I have with me. And Mawada Ashby books are expensive. They're always like $20 or more. Like, I think this one was $26, but then I got it through a different book company, so it was cheaper. But this is the Kemetic Tree of Life. And as you can see, it's a pretty big book, because it's bigger than my head. But this one, I don't even think I finished reading this one, because I started reading one of the other ones. But so, I started reading Mawada Ashby, and even then, as I was learning more, but it still wasn't 100% satisfied. So at this point, I don't really have anything I'm calling my own spiritually. I'm just kind of like, yeah, I know a little bit, and I'm continuing to try to learn, but nothing's really 100% sticking yet. So at this point, I started learning, because now I've developed my new Instagram. Some of the same followers I brought over, some new ones. So this time I'm now looking at Yoruba. And so the books that I have, of course, are on my bookshelf, but I can see them. It's Finding the Soul in the Path of the Orisa, the Handbook of Yoruba Religious Concepts, Ancestor Past, Grasping the Root of Divine Power. And it was funny. When my dad first told me, when my parents first found out that I had decided to be Wiccan, they found out via my MySpace page, because one of my mom's work friends had, like, saw it and, like, brought it up to her at work, and I guess they thought my mom was into it too, and so she got that backlash. My dad's like, why don't you practice Santeria? And it wasn't until I started really learning about Yoruba that I realized they clicked together. So thanks, Dad. But, yeah. And it wasn't that really clicked for me. Like, it made sense. It actually made sense of everything that I'd learned in these two books. It made sense of everything that I'd learned being Wiccan. Even made sense of some of the stuff that I learned in Christianity. And I'm going to explain why. So, everybody understands in Christianity, they have the Trinity. They have the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. That is an African concept. Straight up, that is an African concept that comes straight from Africa. Now, what it actually is, it is not saying you worship three separate people. It is saying that you worship one person, but because of the magnitude and the greatness and the power of this God, you can't explain it. So you break that God down, and the God expresses himself in the multiple ways. This is how you explain rain. This is how you explain your sensuality. This is how you explain this. This all comes from God expressing itself in different ways. And for a while, like, especially trying to understand Wicca, that was like the one thing that I could not get, is how am I understanding worshiping multiple people? I pray to this person for this, I pray to this person for that. Yoruba made sense for me, finally. Like, everything that I needed to know that I'd been trying to get made sense for me. And somebody can try to say, oh no, that's not what Christianity is. I go to Bible study. I'm not going to lie, I do go to Bible study, because like I've said before, I like everything to mesh together. So my pastor explained it to me that way. Now, in every thing that I'd ever told you, as far as the books that I was going through, the religions that I was looking at, one thing stood out to me. The people that were writing the books worshipped gods, goddesses, whoever, that looked like them. You did not see a white person worshiping a black deity. They were worshiping a white version of a black deity. They were worshiping Isis, not a Set. They were worshiping Osiris, not a Sar. They were worshiping white versions of their deities. When you looked at Asian deities, you looked at Kuan Yin, you looked at Kali, everything like that. They looked like them. And now here come Christianity. White churches, because I've been to a couple different churches, the big churches in South Carolina, their deities, white. Jesus, white. I go to a black church. Jesus is white. Oh, what? Why is my image of Jesus white? It was just, I do not understand that. If I am a black person, I do not understand why am I worshiping somebody that looks like my oppressor. We wouldn't, like, if it wasn't for white people, we would not be Christian in the first place. But here 400 plus years later, we continue to worship somebody that looks like the people that brought us here and enslaved us in the first place. If you want to be Christian, fine. But you cannot tell me that you're just going to let that one go. And I mean, if you want to, that's fine. And this was a big argument in between me and my ex was, Jesus didn't have a color. Bullshit, Jesus had a color. They give him a description in the Bible. It's, what is it? Skin of bronze, hair of wool. That's a description. That's a color. Bronze is a color the last time I looked. But if the description of Jesus is in the Bible, why is it that every image that I see of Jesus, even if it's a black image of Jesus, he has a damn relaxer, he has long flowy hair down to his neck and these nice soft waves, and he's white? I do not understand that. Why is it that do we continue as black people to worship somebody that does not look like us? And in the whole thing now with them burning these historically black churches, and black people are just letting it go. This is the thing, one thing I don't know, y'all will riot in Baltimore because of what happened to this kid and the cops wrongfully arresting him and all that, but we're letting these churches be burned down and y'all are forgiving these people. Are y'all fucking kidding me? One, because we are not doing anything about it other than saying, oh, we forgive you guys, it's all in God's plan, blah, blah, that, and the other. That's just saying that we understand that, or it's, how am I going to say this? White people understand we're not going to do anything about it, so they're going to continue to do it. They're going to continue to walk into our houses of worship, and they're just going to light it up and burn the shit to the ground. Comment your opinion on this, because I really want to know what y'all think about this. And I'm going to get off my high horse and drink my tea because I'm a little hot right now. Bye, guys.